This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Yes, here we go. Follow the money. Pauly Howard, Mike Palm, Mitch Moss at Culver's, hanging out all week on vacation. Palm Readers Unite. Huge show coming up. Can't wait. Adam Chernoff, picks, props, Thanksgiving Day games. We could have a quarterback change with one of the teams. Paul Stone went 4-0. All right, waiting on that for 2 years. We'll talk to Paul coming up. Frank Schwab from Yahoo Sports to talk all the NFL news. Will Hill on an unbelievable college basketball card. And we are the Mecca today, the hotbed of college hoops with Houston, Alabama, and Kansas and Duke right down the street. And he claims to be a businessman, the owner of Circa, Derek Stevens, on Survivor, Circa Millions, all the updates with the contest, and also how the festival went over the weekend as well. How are you, Maestro?
Very good, Paul. Very excited. We got a loaded lineup today from yesterday with the one guest. We packed it today, and I'm excited. I haven't talked to Frank Schwab in a while. He was out on my panel here that previewed the NFL season, so excited to talk to him. And we finally get Paul Stone on a 4-game winning streak. So what could happen? It's unprecedented.
No kidding.
So what could happen now?
Absolutely, right. Paul's on 4 dogs coming up as well. We'll also get to win, lose in 10 minutes with Top 5 Tuesday. And I think Mike Palm's going to have some good stuff with that as well. Good game last night. Number one, tough beat on the under. The officials, that crew was an embarrassment. It was a horror show. We'll wait on that in a second. But a big win for the Ravens. And again, Lamar Jackson now has accounted for 30 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 27 passing, and only 3 interceptions. And we worried and we were concerned about, yes, good quarterback, good team, great coach, but the Chargers really hadn't played anybody. And I thought the defensive numbers were fugazi, and then they allowed 200 yards on the ground. Henry goes for $140. Hill had the long touchdown, and the Ravens win 30-23 in a massive game. Not only can they win the division, can you try to move up the standings, but also MVP talk with Lamar. Great performance, great comeback win by Baltimore. Yeah,
they're down 10-0, and they really controlled the game then, basically for the last 3+ quarters. If their defense can play to this level, like they did in the second half, second quarter through the end of the game, they'll be a tough out, whether they have to go to Baltimore or they have to go to Buffalo or Kansas City in the playoffs.
See, that's what I thought. If that defense shows up that we've seen the last couple of weeks, good luck. Because likely had the comments when they lost the opener against Kansas City. We played our D- game, and okay, good luck. We should have beat you. So we're going to get you the next time around. And then they already destroyed Buffalo earlier in the season. So you're going to push back. Some people say, well, what's happened with Lamar and the issues they've had, and they lose their minds with the play calling in the AFC title game. Am I overreacting to say that they've turned the corner defensively after the last 2 games?
I think it's still too early to make that statement. But there was, to your point, there were a lot of reasons not to like Baltimore this year coming in. I thought, one, they went out in the playoffs in the worst way ever. Losing, like you said, losing your mind. Going away from the running game, throwing with Lamar on 2nd and 4, panicking down 1 score at home in the AFC Championship game. 2, your offensive line coach dies right before the season. 3, you have to replace 3 offensive linemen. 4, a lot of guys left, including your defensive coordinator. Guys had to step up on defense. 4, your defense coordinator had no experience. 0, Zach Orr. And 6, Tucker is declining. All those going against them. Plus, they play in one of the two toughest divisions in the NFL. So they're not going to win 14 games, obviously, right? If they can still win that division, they can still make noise in the playoffs. I think the defense is the key.
Right.
They'll be fine offensively.
Yes, and I think the defense that's encouraging, and watch out if they play like that. The other thing is, I love it that they're at their best in the big games. Now, how do you lose to the Raiders, and how'd you blow the Cleveland game? But the Raider game is the one that's like, how the hell did that happen? And then certainly a tough loss against the Steelers. He always struggles there, Lamar. And we mentioned the Chiefs game. But that's why I come right back and I like them Sunday, now laying 3 against Philly. Now, the other thing that I love is this. We know they're aggressive, but good luck stopping a tush-push if it's Andrews being pushed by Henry. So where are this people want to second guess on these artifacts and relics about Bill Cowher and these other bozos on CBS about, you have to punt, you can't. So you want to go for it inside your own 20, 4th and inches. Those two decisions to go for it on 4th down won them the game and got them 14 points. So great job by Harbaugh. But people only bring it up when it fails.
I will push back on. I don't think you have to go for 2 when you're up 7.
Why not? I loved it.
I would rather.
Should have caught it. He dropped the ball.
I understand, Paul, but I would rather kick the point and make the other team execute twice, the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. I get it. You want to go up 2 scores, right? Because going up 2 scores changes the whole way the game is played, by the other team especially. But I would kick the point there and make the other team convert the 2 under pressure.
Well, I like it's a killer to go up 9. I love that, and he's got to catch that. Although it was a fastball by Lamar. So where do you stand with the Chargers now? A little fugazi here, a little worried. Big test at Atlanta now.
Listen, the roster didn't get much better. We knew this roster was an aging roster coming into the year, and Harbaugh has made a lot of difference just because of a culture change and getting a toughness. But they're still weak up the middle, Paul.
Yep.
You saw Baltimore bully them with the running game last night. And then the other thing I would say is everybody was in Quentin Johnson. They can't believe. If you watched him play at TCU, he dropped a lot of balls at TCU, Paul.
Yep.
Okay, so this is to drop 4 or 5 of them is inexcusable. But the guy is not the greatest receiver of the ball.
If he makes those catches, it's a different game. And that's the big drop on 3rd down. Aikman's right. There's nobody there. There's nobody there, and the big disappointment he's been. So they face a great offense, and they have all these issues stopping the run, and they give up 30 points now, back to back, after what Cincinnati did to them, and now Baltimore. Now you're not going to get much. You should be able to slow down Atlanta, but moving forward, that's a big concern.
Adam Chernoff will have a play on that game coming up here.
That's right.
In 30 minutes.
Yes. So what do you think of the crew?
You know,
Sheffers and his crew. They can't be on a playoff.
They've been rotating Sheffers and Vinovich in the Super Bowls the last 6 years, right? Rotate. They were. Embarrassment is a pretty good word last night. Mm-hmm. Clueless.
Yeah.
I mean, they called it incompletion in the end zone. The 3 guys had to run over and tell them that it was a catch.
Yep.
So they didn't even have to go to a review.
The fumble. I mean, come on now. Come on. The fumble. Okay, that's number. And then how about the catch is so egregious too? The guy standing right there. Andrews right in front of him, both feet down. Good job on the pregame, by the way. Glenn Clark said anytime touchdown, they like to go to him after he's, and even more so when he's not used the prior week. But the guy's looking right at it, and he blows the call.
6 inches from the play.
And they have to get together.
They have to run up to Sheffers. Sheffers ran from behind the line of scrimmage to come down and tell him there was a touchdown.
Now, how many times are we going to throw a flag and then huddle and then pick it up and say no flag?
Even at the end of the game, the catch, the pass interference, then they had a huddle for 5 minutes to decide, no, it wasn't a catch, so we're going to enforce the pass interference, right? When they called it a catch and declined the pass interference. I mean, there must have been 8 huddles last night in that game.
Sure, absolutely. Unacceptable, right?
It's unacceptable for a crew that's supposed to be a top 3 crew in the NFL.
Well, here's the other thing. Mitch always says this, there's too much on their plate. There's too many rules. There's too much going on. And the worst call, again, you can't have a 50, 40-yard penalty, again, with the spot foul crap. But you have to let the hand fighting go. You can't do it. It's too the severity of the penalty is too much, and these guys don't know what they're looking at. Like, if I'm coming out like this and just doing the incident, you can't call this stuff, right?
In basketball, it's a legal armbar. Right? It's a legal armbar. Or when the guy turns and you have his hand on his hips, unless you hold him and stop him, that's not a penalty either. Like they called to put the ball at the 2-yard line at the end of the game.
Right. So Baltimore got a tough whistle. No doubt about it. But that's a horrible job by that crew. Absolutely. So big opportunity now coming up for Baltimore. So can you lay the 3? Can you get past the Eagles? And then after, if you win that game, it's a doable schedule. They're now minus 210 to win the division. Pittsburgh, an underdog in their next game against the Bengals. And then the Chargers go to Atlanta, and that's up to 2 as well. So a couple big games here coming up Sunday.
I think you have to lay the points when he plays the NFC. 23-1. I mean, come on.
Yep.
And you get it inside of a field goal or a field goal.
Now, tell people what you said before the show.
What did I say, Paul?
This game, it's an elimination game?
I think it could be an elimination game because Lamar can't lose too many more games. I don't care what his stats are. And then if the Baltimore defense can slow this momentum of Saquon down a little bit. I mean, Saquon has a better chance of losing and coming out still in this MVP race. I don't think Lamar can lose too many more games. I think be 5 games is time. I mean, 12-5 is a little bit pushing it for an MVP even as a quarterback.
I'd say that's the cutoff. Mm-hmm. Right. So Barkley has 60 yards. Then what? That's
well,
it?
Well,
everyone's watching? No good? I think he still has plenty of time, though. He's hit 2,000 yards.
How do you come on Allen? Allen is still going to put up numbers, and they're going to keep winning games, and he's their whole offense.
Yep.
Allen's built in if Buffalo does well, because he's the only guy that's 80% of the offense of his team. He's the leading rusher and passer, right? And they're not built on a great defense. He's everything to them.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this guy play in Wyoming. They went to Iowa, so he's nothing special. I didn't. It's not
That's
that
why
accurate.
receivers were bad. Right. So it's tough coming up for the Chargers. At Atlanta, at Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Denver. Then you close with 2 games you have to win at New England and at Las Vegas. So you're probably playing Houston in the first round. It's what it looks like. But it's a great game Sunday against Atlanta. And that's a game they should win, and Herbert should have a big game in that one. But also just some tough beats, though. You lose Dobbins. McConkey's banged up. Dobbins, a vicious beat if you had Dobbins over the rushing yards. And he had 40, and he goes out early.
If they beat the Falcons on Sunday, they're in. If they beat the Falcons. Because they're going to win the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And they should beat Denver. They dominated Denver in Denver.
Yeah. But I'm just saying those are tough games, though. But those
are tough games.
Yes.
I like the Buccaneers a lot. I'm just telling you right now. I think the Buccaneers are a top 5 team in football, Paul.
All right. Up next, we'll get to win-lose and recap what happened. Great action in college hoops, and also a big upset in the NBA with some big props that cashed also in the NFL. And we'll get to Top 5 Tuesday as well. Biggest mistakes you can make on Thanksgiving. Straight ahead. VSiN, Follow the Money, baby. The Sports Betting Network.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Tuesday on Follow the Money with Mike Palm, filling in for Mitch Moss, the CEO of Circa, Derek Stevens, Paul Stone on the final weekend of regular season college football, and Adam Chernoff, NFL picks and props. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Cash and tickets, what it's all about. First touchdown, Monday Night Football. Herbert, 20-1. That's your big boy here at Circa. No touchdown passes, 4-1. Jackson scores and the Ravens win, plus 335. Andrews, anytime touchdown, plus 235. Bateman, anytime touchdown, 3-1. And Justice Hill, plus 475. The total opened 47, it closed 51. Came down to the final possession as well. That got there. Pistons, Raptors under 225, down to 220. Ice cream, eat it up. Rocky Road, 102-100. Nets money line, 6-1. Came all the way back, a big fourth quarter, and won at Golden State. College hoops, Wisconsin, Green Bay, Ohio State over. 152 up to 157.5. 102-69. Memphis, plus 350. Live on the air yesterday, they upset UConn in overtime. Illinois, from 19 up to 23. Mike, look at these scores. They won 92-34, and Arkansas was laying 34. They played Maryland, Shore, something? I don't know. 109-35? Oh, what a fiasco. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos at Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in. We'll put you on TV. This is called That's My Spot. The human, the owner's laying down, taking a nap on the bed. The husky comes in, grabs the blanket, takes it down, and then sneaks in the middle. Snuggle time. And then comes in between the cushion and what the human's holding on to, and the dog comes in. Boy, these huskies are smart, I'll tell you. That's incredible. That's my spot. And he puts it on the floor and then comes right in and goes all the way underneath as well. Well played. Lose some. $110,000 bet at Caesars on the game under. You looked like an easy winner early on. 10-0, and then all hell breaks loose. Also lose some. Danny Hurley. What do you think?
Should be suspended.
I agree.
Well, who would do it?
He cost his team the game. You're getting teed
who
up
would
in
do
an
it? The
overtime.
NCAA, the Big East, suspend him for 2 conference games. It was embarrassing. And then the post-game comments. He should at least get a big fine.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And I didn't even know that guy's a college official.
Right.
Come on.
Well, how about the comment, I would expect more, because we won back-to-back national titles. What does that have to do with anything? No, I didn't like the call either, but that's... So what? You won back-to-back titles? You deserve to get every call? And then Humans is there at the game. And he just said he's relentless, unbearable, and won't stop. He's on the officials. He's a great coach, but it's like...
From the very tip.
From the tip. Monday Night Football, bad beat. Dobbins, rushing yards over. Goes out with the injury. If you haven't become a VSiN Pro subscriber, now's your chance. Start betting smarter and save big. Sign up. Black Friday special today. Everything we do through May 1st, only $60. Every best bet, every host, every guest. The betting splits from DraftKings and Circa. The dog videos, the hippo videos, every betting guide we have. Best offer ever in the 7 years of VSiN. VSiN.com/subscribe. Black Friday special now. Go get it. Top 5 Tuesday. Let's rock and roll.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's a top.
If you ain't first, you're last.
5.
That's not enough, Dad!
Tuesday.
I've been ready for this my whole life.
Top 5 Tuesday.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Follow the money.
FTM@VSiN.com is the email. Tweet at us. X, Instagram, whatever you want to do. You got to participate. We want to hear from you. Biggest mistakes you can make on Turkey Day. Top 5. I'll start. Number 5, talk politics. Can't do it. And you think of SEC football guy and then multiply it by 100 when you're talking about politics, especially with what just happened with the election a couple weeks ago. It could go sideways in a hurry. You want to get in and start right in.
How about the legend that called in the Feinbaum with the random?
I saw that. I know. It's like you're married to Beyonce and then you wake up next to Whoopi?
That's what
Is that what he said? Yeah, good line. Number 4, invite too many people. This is huge. You know, my cousin John used to do this all the time. No matter who he was dating, he would then invite the girl and he wouldn't tell anybody. And then if he does it and then she invites a friend, next thing you know, whoop, we're running out of food here. You know, careful with the invites. Number 3, it also ties in not enough food. I mean, imagine 3 and 4 go hand in hand, right? And Mike will have a great tidbit on this with his list, too. That ties in. Number 2, the TV's off. What are we doing here? I don't care about your life. I don't want to talk to you to begin with. Let's get the football on, right? In-play wagering. Let's say, that's what, we're going to sit in silence here and talk about what's going on at work? Or come on, put the game on. TV's got to be on from the jump street. And number one, obviously mess up the food if something would happen. 3 years ago this happened. I was invited over, and listen, I knew. I had the scouting report. She's a nice gal, but we knew her cooking was suspect at best. The turkey sucked. It was dry. It was an abomination. And it was unfortunate because I love Thanksgiving and the best part, leftovers. So if you mess up the turkey, which is hard to believe, it's an unmitigated disaster. Biggest mistakes you can make on Turkey Day. That's my top 5. Take it away, Maestro. Hit him big, kid.
Okay, Paul. Well, I've hosted half a dozen Thanksgiving dinners and probably as an adult been the guest at 25, so I'll speak from both sides of it. I have number 5, people who try to serve all hot dishes. Unless you have a commercial kitchen, there's no way that you have enough burners and oven space to keep all the dishes hot. You must mix in some cold dishes. A salad, an ambrosia, stuff like that. It can't all be hot dishes. I know there's the temptation because there's so many great signs on Thanksgiving. It can't be all hot. Number 4, failing to vet the guest list. This is not Christmas, people. You don't have to invite everyone, okay? Yep. It's Thanksgiving. It should be an enjoyable meal. This kind of goes in with what you said, too many people.
Right.
Do not invite people that don't get along.
But then where are you going to sit? That's a great point, though, about kind of into politics.
People in and out all day. They're in and out. I don't care for it.
How many times has this happened to you? Where there's people don't get along?
Many times.
Oh, no.
Oh, many times.
Great point.
Number 3, inadequate alcohol selections. All right, if you are the host, you should make an effort to find out what the people who are coming that you invited, you made this decision to invite, like to drink, and make sure it's on hand. If you are a guest, you cannot count on the host doing this, and you should bring as a gift what you want to drink. That's what I do.
That's a gorgeous list.
I bring the drink because what if they don't have it, and that's what I want to drink.
No, you got to come heavy too.
Not one bottle. I bring several bottles. I don't just want to drink it all myself. All right,
bring something. Yeah.
Number 2. Listen, my favorite dish of Thanksgiving, my favorite side, but I like it more than turkey, is stuffing. You cannot cook the stuffing inside the turkey. It never comes out well. All right, it's also unsanitary. Stuffing must be cooked in a casserole dish. Listen to me, people. Trust me on this. And then number 1 is starting the meal too late. The timing of this is everything.
Amen.
People want to start the meal at 5 p.m. It's ridiculous. No. People are going to not come because it's too late.
Let's go halftime of the Cowboy game.
Very latest is halftime of the Cowboy game.
Halftime of the Cowboy
Some people will start it between the first and the second game. I get it on the East Coast. There's a whole different lifestyle over there where they're 3 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, but that's 8 o'clock then.
No,
you don't eat that late.
No.
It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You got to start it in the East Coast. I think you start it before the Cowboy game because the Cowboy game doesn't go to 4:30. You can't wait till 6 o'clock.
No.
There's too many dishes to be had on Thanksgiving, and it should be enjoyed all day, especially if you start with the parades early in the morning.
When do you put the appetizers out?
That was number 6 on my list. Don't forget the appetizers. People think because there's so many sides you don't need appetizers. You still need appetizers. Everything can't be served at one time.
Yeah.
To your point, now in this era where we have the college game at night and a pro game at night, multiple TVs. Not to have the TV off, you also need multiple TVs.
You're right.
You need multiple TVs.
That's a great call.
Yes.
That's another good call.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one thing I respect Lombardi. To be Italian, and Sal Pal tomorrow, I mean, you can get that Italian Thanksgiving. You come in with the meatballs early as well. Wanted to talk to Michael. He couldn't fit us in, though, between his appearances on McAfee and also his JFK podcast. He's a busy
flying
guy.
because he was in Ames giving a motivational speech earlier today. Ames, Iowa.
Yeah.
You know what the high school motto there is? Ames high, Ames high. It's just a tidbit.
Good job.
It's just a
good job. FTM at VSiN.com. Tweet at us as well. Get in on this. This is great. Mike had an A+ list. That is strong. Biggest mistakes you can make on Turkey Day. Let's hear from you. We could be missing some. But great job, Mike. But that's, when do you want to serve the meal? I think it has to be halftime of the Cowboy game. Or before. Once you get, it's too late then. Once you get that late, and then how the tryptophan gets you, and then it's lights out.
Oh, yeah.
You're over at someone's house, you pass out on the couch. No good can come from that one.
I want to give you a little irony of all ironies.
Yeah.
In your win-lose, you're talking about the 2 ridiculous scores in college basketball last night.
Oh, God. Maryland East Shore, I think it was called.
Arkansas beat Maryland Eastern Shore.
Eastern Shore, okay.
Right? And Illinois, in Fayetteville, and Illinois beat Little Rock. Who do you think plays their next games together? It's Eastern Shore against Little Rock.
Get out of
it's
here.
not, and it's not at a holiday tournament. These were all on-campus games.
Are you serious?
The teams that scored 34 and 35 points last night meet next.
Wow.
That's their next game in
109
Little
to 35.
In Little Rock.
You laid 34. You allowed 35. I mean, that's madness. All right. Adam Chernoff up next. We had some injury news in one of the games. There could be a quarterback change. There is a quarterback change in the Black Friday game. Plenty of picks and props. Rapid fire with Mr. Chernoff coming up next. Paul Stone in half an hour. Went 4-0 last week. He's on 4 Dogs as well. Follow the money. All that straight ahead.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Back at it, picks, props, rapid fire. Adam Chernoff, his weekly visit on Tuesdays, Simple Handicap Podcast, Right Angle Sports as well. Thanks for the time, my friend. Happy holidays. Excellent call last week, listening to your podcast about what was going on with Purdy. You said, be careful, it doesn't look good. He didn't play, the line shoots up, and the 49ers get punished. So do we have another Purdy-type scenario here where what the Daboll with some interesting comments about DeVito, what happens with the Giants on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. And happy holidays to you guys as well. Big weekend ahead for everybody listening. So hopefully everybody's doing well listening as well. I think there's a very real chance that we see Drew Lock start in this game. DeVito took a big hit against the Buccaneers. It's his throwing arm. It's his forearm that is the issue. I think the possibility that Lock plays is very real. He took first-team reps today in practice. And so this number's crept in a little bit. I think the Giants right now plus 3.5 is a bet you put in the account and you're pretty content holding. It's something that I've done because if Lock is starting, there's no way that this is not closing 3 or less. He is certainly an upgrade over DeVito and certainly an upgrade over the version of DeVito that we saw last week against the Buccaneers. And so to me, this number at 4, even with DeVito and the Giants, was tempting to play. And now you're telling me there's a real chance that Lock plays. Like I'm happy here taking 3.5 with the Giants, hoping that's the case because, by the way, the Cowboys have quite a few injuries as well. Cooper Rush is banged up. He's not 100%. You have issues at tight end with Ferguson. You have real issues on the offensive line. And then some defensive guys banged up as well. So this was a pretty big move that I thought was really downgrading the Giants with DeVito. But I'll take the chance here that Lock plays and take 3.5.
Adam, how concerned are you about the comments coming out of Sunday's loss to Tampa Bay, though? The locker room stuff about words I can't even repeat here, and a lack of 100% effort, and the negativity surrounding this team, and the players sort of focusing their anger at Daboll. How much does that factor into your handicap outside of a power rating?
It by far the biggest negative, for sure. And once the switch to DeVito happened last week, everybody was confused because they were like, why is this not Drew Lock? And so I do think that's real, Mike. What I would say is if you're trying to think about a way to bet into that, a lot of books now offer first quarter props for receivers. Keep an eye out for Malik Neighbors. It's not widely available yet, but he's lined at some books at 9.5 yards for the first quarter. Everything that Daboll said yesterday in his presser was about how he wants to get targets and the ball to Neighbors early in the game. And that was what Neighbors called him out for. And so once that's widely available to a lot of books, that's a pretty intriguing number to look at for Neighbors to get more involved early in the game.
I love this because I want to play against the Giants if it's DeVito. I want to play on them if it's Lock. I just think it makes a world of difference, and you saw the mutiny in the locker room. We start the day with the red-hot Lions against the Bears. The Bears, great comeback, lose another one-possession game. Eberflus, 2-17 career against teams above 500. A big number, though. Detroit laying 10. Were they going to cover every week? How about a pick here and a prop if you have one?
They're covering every week at the moment. It's a hard train to step in front of. Last week, pros faded the Lions, including myself. The Colts took game day money when the limits were the highest. And so far this week, we're seeing pros back the Bears as the 10.5s are gone. It's now 10. I'll take the 10 points in this one with Chicago, who have been very competitive against division opponents the last 2 weeks. Last week against Minnesota, a little bit lucky down the stretch, certainly with the onside kick recovery. But this is a spot here where I think DJ Moore can have a big game for the Bears. He's involved a ton since Thomas Brown took over. The Lions have some defensive injuries in the secondary with cornerback 1 and 2 banged up. And so I like his yardage over at 52.5 as a prop that I'm looking at too. Okay. This is a game here where it's just a big number to be laid with Detroit in the division on the short week, with the Bears, with the coaching change at OC, still trying and playing hard in these games. I still think Eberflus is a bit of a problem, high level and long term, but you're getting effort out of this team in this offense, which wasn't the case prior to the firing in the last couple of weeks. And so it's been a big turnaround there. And if I'm looking at the matchup on the other side, it's a spot where Montgomery's banged up, and the big advantage for the Lions is going to be running the football. The Bears are a really big run funnel defense with some injuries, and so that's not great when you're trying to cover double digits at home either. And so I'll take the 10 points here with the Bears I like that more over as well for his receiving yards.
All right, follow the money. Pauly, Mike Paulman for Mitch Moss, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Adam Chernoff, our guest. Listen to the Simple Handicap podcast. Does a great job. He's on the Progressive guest line. The late game, it's a good one. And there's a path here for Miami to run the table. When it's 40 degrees or colder, Tua was 0-7 in his career. It's going to be 25 degrees. Packers lane 3. Thoughts here, picks, props? What do you want to do? Great game.
It is a great game. It could honestly be a little bit colder as we get into the night. You get a little bit of wind. Nothing super impactful, but it's going to be cold. And so we're going to hear all about the Tua and the cold weather stuff. It's all over, and it's going to be something that's pressed on the broadcast. I think everybody's betting into that. I question it a little bit because the Dolphins in the offseason made an effort to kind of not have what happened in Kansas City happen again. And that was driven by building up their O-line and building the run game. And we've seen them at times this season with Tua or with Huntley when they've had to lean on the ground game. In a lot of games, they've had a lot of success with it. And that's a spot where this Packers defense can be a little bit vulnerable. And so I don't know if this is going to be a repeat of all these cold weather games that we've seen in the past with Tua, because the Dolphins have that option and that out. And so I think they're going to lean on the ground game, and that changes the dynamic a little bit in this spot. I think at 3 and at 47, the price on the side and the total is right. What I will say is on the other side of the ball, I'm looking at Josh Jacobs, 16.5 carries is what he is priced at. The Dolphins lost Anthony Walker last week. He is the best run-stopping defender that they have in the middle of the field. He's graded out for weeks as one of the highest-graded run defenders as well. Taking him out of the picture, the Packers without Dobbs have a bit of a difficulty shifting guys around against this Dolphins secondary. I think this is turning into a second game where they're really leaning on Josh Jacobs, especially against this Dolphins D without Walker. And so at 16.5 carries, I think they lean on him a little bit more, and we see him go over that mark at 16.5. And so that's a prop that I would like, but nothing for me here, side nor total.
Adam, Packers come off the big revenge spot against the 49ers from the playoff loss. And, oh, by the way, next week they have to go to Detroit. How much is this a sandwich spot for them?
I don't know if it's as big of a sandwich spot with it being the Thursday game. If it's moved over the Sunday and you have the typical week in the prep, that's certainly something that comes into question with how tight that division is. But with this being extra time to prep, I think that's downgraded a little bit.
Black Friday, Chiefs 12 against the Raiders. It's supposed to be O'Connell. I think the Chiefs bury him.
I'm with you. I'm surprised to see this number go back the other way. I know there's a sentiment among bettors not wanting to lay more than a touchdown with the Chiefs. They're 0-4 this season when doing so. But, I'm having a hard time here. This was 12.5 on the look ahead with Minshew. We get the injury at the end of the game for him where he leaves, broken collarbone, and now it's going to be O'Connell, who's not – this isn't Aiden O'Connell healthy as the backup waiting to come in. This is O'Connell off a serious arm injury where his grip strength is really in question, now getting the call on a short week to go into Arrowhead. There's a lot of cold weather around the league this week. Grip strength and a throwing arm injury, playing in sub-zero temperatures that are going to be freezing. I'm speaking Celsius. I'm Canadian. Sub-36 Fahrenheit. It's going to be cold in Arrowhead. That, to me, is not an upgrade for the Raiders at quarterback. And in this spot where the Raiders still have injuries in the defensive backfield, they still have injuries to the back. The ground game hasn't been there all season. I don't know what the path here is for the Raiders. And so I'm really surprised to see this number come in. I don't agree with it. I'm getting 12 with the Chiefs. I'm happy to take that number because I was considering laying 14 with the news when I was doing the Monday morning show.
Sure.
And to see this come in, I'm with you, Pauly. I think this is a burial. I think the Chiefs win and cover double digits here.
Very good. We got 3 more games to get to, and I want to recap with Adam what happened last night and if he's concerned about what he saw from the Chargers defense as well. Calling all VSiN poker players. VSiN is partnered with Poker Now, and we're hosting an online poker tournament this Sunday, December 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm in, Tooley's in, Burke's in. Go win a golden passport for a free seat in the largest poker free roll ever. The World Poker Tour's $5 million free roll in Las Vegas later in December. VSiN.com/poker. Register today for your chance to win. Can't wait. Online Sunday night, VSiN.com/poker. Get in. You love it. The first time
I'm in.
Yeah.
Talk about bearing the headline.
Oh, I didn't know.
Dave Tooley.
Oh, come
okay,
on.
Dave Tooley's in. All right, great.
be great. Hopefully
Stacks
we're
and
heads
racks.
up. Stacks
we'll
and racks.
Relive stacks and racks.
That's right. Yeah, I made the final table.
Then found out you couldn't win.
Right. Trips on the line. Phil Gordon set it up. I tanked. I lost on purpose. I said, I'm going home. Not even getting paid for this. And that was Mike Pauly was running things as well. So get in that. That's awesome. VSiN.com/poker. Okay, we'll get to what happened last night. Also, a couple more picks from Adam as well on a good card coming up in the NFL. And it's also difficult to navigate with Survivor, too. So he's going to make the case for a dog. He's going to get a total. And, again, maybe I'll throw an MVP question to him as well. More with Adam Chernoff coming up next. VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Got a good thing coming, just wait and see. It's a good.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Double shot with Adam Chernoff, Simple Handicap Podcast on the Progressive Guest Line. More picks and props. And with this good game here again, Arizona catching 3.5 against Minnesota. Murray was awful in the loss against Seattle. The pick six, atrocious, cost them the game. Couldn't get the running game going here. But what do you think now going on the road against Minnesota and the Vikings finding a way to get it done somehow, some way after blowing the huge lead against Chicago?
Arizona plus 3.5 for me, and Pauly, you'll appreciate this one. It's the old Dave Malinsky special. I know to Dave here is he talked about it all the time. In one of the classic spots, you have a team that plays 3 games on the road. They're winning games. They're grinding it out like Minnesota. Then you return home, and all of a sudden the responsibilities pile up, things change, and it's Thanksgiving week and everything that comes with that for Minnesota. And so that's usually viewed as a positive in the betting market. In reality, it's more of a negative. And I think Minnesota here, even in this road trip that they were on, I think about some of the opponents they played. Caleb Williams looked okay against them, but it was Will Levis and Tennessee. It was Jacksonville with Mac Jones. It was Indianapolis the game prior with Joe Flacco. I mean, all of these opponents were just perfect for the defense to get up at the line of scrimmage, bring the pressure, and throw these quarterbacks that are struggle against it, really kind of out of rhythm. And now they're facing Kyler Murray, who's the complete opposite. And it's the Cardinals in the complete opposite spot as well, coming off the loss in Seattle. Need the win to keep the season alive. I think they navigate the pressure. I think Murray uses his legs effectively in this spot. And out of these heavier personnel looks, they can really test the Vikings up front with the run game and McBride. And so to me here, 3.5 is just a classic handicapping spot here with the Cardinals.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so Chargers now 2 at Atlanta. Atlanta off the bye. No pass rush to speak of. Herbert should have all day back there. Can Johnson catch the ball? But 47.5 is the total. What do you think?
Yeah, you said it well. It's bombs away for both teams in this spot. The Chargers get an opponent after a few weeks of tough defenses where, you said it, Herbert's going to be kept clean in the pocket. The Falcons have the worst pass rush in football. The only way that they're going to be able to generate pressure in this spot is by bringing their blitz rate way up. They're already blitzing a ton, and their gambles aren't working. And against this O-line for the Chargers, that's going to be a tough ask. And so I think this is wide open for the Chargers and the passing game. And on the other side, the Falcons coming out of the bye, there has been one thing that has been said consistently in pressers and interviews, and that is increasing the rate of play action usage. Their offensive line has had some injuries over the course of the season. Most guys back and healthy now, and everything coming out of the bye is about more play action and getting Cousins comfortable in the pocket. That, to me, is going to do a lot to open up the Falcons' offense. And this Chargers defense, I mean, we saw it last night. That was a real step up in class for quality of opponent on the other side. And they didn't look the part on defense. And I'm not trying to put the Falcons in Ravens territory for offensive comparison, but I think this is another tough test for them on the short week going into Atlanta, facing a fresh Falcons team out of the bye with these weapons they have. If this is a bit of an all-in play calling spot for the Falcons, I think they're more than likely to contribute their share of the over. I think both of these offenses have a ton of success on Sunday, and this goes over 47.5.
Adam, I'm a little surprised you're not on the Falcons here just because of what you just mentioned. Short week, travel, they got to play an early time start game for a West Coast team against Atlanta off a horrible loss, but off of a bye, and a whole 2 weeks to game plan for the Chargers.
I cannot disagree with the words you just said. I certainly agree with that on the side. We've betted already, but it was one I wasn't planning to talk about, but okay. I'm with you for sure on that one.
All right. So have you seen enough in the last 2 weeks to think that the Ravens defense has turned the corner?
No, I wouldn't say that yet. I think in the secondary, they still have issues. They're very, very good up front against the run. And that's really when I'm looking at this matchup against the Eagles, where it's going to matter most. I mean, Philadelphia has been able to just bully opponents all season, get the ground game going. And when they get going downhill, we saw what happened against the Rams. This matchup against the Ravens, different scenario. I think this is a much tougher task. And this is going to be a game where it's put on the Eagles and Hurts, likely playing from behind, which, by the way, guys, is not something that we have seen the Eagles in a position of for several weeks. Like the last time that we really saw the Eagles in what I would label like full-on chase mode, you have to go back to that Bucs game earlier in the season where they were without wide receiver 1 and 2. They had a ton of injuries. Otherwise, week after week after week, it's early leads, it's running the football, it's getting comfortable. I don't think that's as successful here against this Ravens defensive front. And Mike, you said it in the first segment, Lamar against the NFC. You've got to bet it when it's a spread like this. You're getting Baltimore at 3 even money. I got to side with you and agree with you on that. So Ravens here for me, because that defense looks better against this Eagles run and slows them down.
Okay, let's say the Eagles win. What do you think of the, number one, the movement from 45 to 5-1 on Barkley MVP? And can they give it to a running back? Hasn't happened since, 2012 or 2012, yeah.
I always kind of hesitate a little bit with some of these moves in these award markets because they move so much after big results and you're looking at big prices moving, and it happens so often. And so I'm not seeing that and saying like, okay, this is a shoo-in for him now. The big question for me is like, how and what is Barkley going to have to do? How many records is he going to have to get in order to be put in a voting category alongside Josh Allen as the front runner? I mean, this is more about how these guys are going to vote than what actually happens on the field. And I would be hard pressed to say if Allen and the Bills run out at the trajectory that they are with another primetime game coming up, got more down the stretch, Barkley's going to have to do something out of this world to get in that same conversation, the way that these voters are just primed to pick the best quarterback from the best team that meant the most. And so it's a bit tough for me to look at this logically, and where you could make a case for Barkley when you know that it's the voters that come down to it. And so I still think unless there's a big step back from Allen and the Bills, this is his award to lose.
I want to talk about the Monday night game, Adam. Browns at Broncos. I think Nick's is more comfortable playing at home, but I could never get anyone to explain to me the Cleveland defense's home road splits last year, how good they were at home and how just awful they were on the road, and it manifested in that playoff game. I'm very tempted here to lay 5 with the Broncos on Monday night.
So last year specifically for the Browns defense, there was a lot of noise in the big plays that they conceded. When you're looking down to down success rate, they were actually pretty good. And they just conceded big play after big play with breakdowns. And that was really odd last year. Weirdly, this year, we're still seeing a lot of that. Think about that Saints game a couple of weeks ago with those big runs that were broken off. Like, that's just kind of what this defense is becoming. I'm with you when I'm looking at this Broncos side on Monday. Like, this is the biggest game for Denver at home in several years. Huge game for them in context of the AFC right now. What I'm having trouble with, in addition to you with the Browns and the defense and trying to time what's going on and what they're getting with, is this team is out of the playoff picture. But I think there's a level of comfort right now in Cleveland. Again, this week, we saw ownership say that Stefanski is going to stay on along with the staff. And so they're in this spot where they're out of the playoff picture along with so many of these other teams. All of these other teams have uncertainty about job security. Staff has uncertainty if they're coming back. And Cleveland's in this spot where they can kind of play with nothing to lose, knowing that everybody's comfortable and in a spot to return. And so I think that's kind of hard to handicap. And that's what's keeping me off in this spot is, like, if Thursday night against the Steelers was any indication, that was a Browns team that was fully bought in despite the record. How much of that is what's going on in the locker room with all the security, and how much of that was just buying in against a division opponent in a big home game with the weather in the crowd? And so does that change like it did for the Browns when they went to the Saints and really struggled? I don't know. And so a lot of noise with the defense, Mike, a lot of uncertainty with what kind of buy-in we're getting from this team on a weekly basis, but certainly agree with your sentiment on the confidence that the Broncos are playing with.
Great job, my friend. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Enjoy all the football that comes with it, and the family and friends, too.
You got it.
Thanks,
Adam,
Adam.
sure enough. Simple Handicap Podcast. The DraftKings, the Broncos, $1.65 to make the playoffs. I think they win Monday night. And the big game also, they host the Colts coming up. Colts plus 270 to make it. More on this coming up. Colts better beat New England. First things first. Good action there. It's a good breakdown there with the Chargers. That's it. Everything points to Atlanta, but I can't do it. I can't. I know everything you said, but that's...
If not now, when?
I know. If you lose this game, my God, off a bye? They can't slow anything down. They can't stop anything defensively. And what Nix was able to do, we turned the page and looked to college football. Up next, Paul Stone, 4-0 last week. He is on 4 dogs.
Home dogs.
4 home dogs, including one of the marquee games. Can't wait to hear his breakdown on the game in his backyard as well. I tell you, Paul Stone coming up next. VSiN, Follow the Money. Pauly Howard, Mike Palm, and from Mitch Moss, the Sports Betting Network.
Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard share their knowledge of sports, gambling, and pop culture on Follow the